The NBA media is in chaos. Clickbait, fake debates, forced narratives. Where has real basketball analysis gone? With the rise of technology and digital media, keeping up with the NBA and sports in general has taken on a whole new dimension. The focus has shifted away from traditional TV broadcasts to social media. And naturally, that has completely changed the game for sports reporters and commentators. Traditional media outlets have a complex business structure, a huge staff, clear hierarchy, and well-defined roles. There are both pros and cons to this system. In recent years, a lot of people have developed this idea that all mainstream media is just a machine for spreading lies, with an ulterior motive to pushing a shady agenda. But it would be incorrect and unreasonable to jump to that conclusion, because the truth is far more complicated. There are still journalists out there who do their jobs professionally and responsibly. A great example is Adrian Wojnarowski, who retired last year but became the go-to guy for breaking news on trades, drafts, and free agency. Then, you've got people like Michael Wilbon, who've been giving sharp and insightful sports commentary for decades. So yeah, mainstream media has its strengths. They've got big budgets, top-tier production, and experienced journalists who've been in the game for years. But at the end of the day, everything comes down to editorial decisions. That's where the real power is. Editors, along with management, decide who gets hired, who gets on air, what stories get covered, and most importantly, how they get covered. On the flip side, mainstream media sometimes struggles to adapt to the new era. Their reporting feels robotic, predictable, and almost boring. That's why it is no surprise that Charles Barkley is a must-watch TV personality in the sports world. Even when he butchers players' names or flat out forgets them, people don't care. Why? Because Sir Charles is always real. He's got no filter, he speaks his mind, and he doesn't care if his opinions rub people the wrong way. Take his beef with Michael Jordan, for example. These two were tight for years, but MJ cut him off after Barkley criticized how he ran the Charlotte Hornets. Barkley later said he's gotta be honest, no matter who gets upset, even if it's Fred. Because if he isn't, the audience will know right away. Let me be crystal clear. This type of reporting is very rare. There are very few people in the sports media world willing to speak their truth and admit when they are wrong. Another huge issue with mainstream media is that big money runs the show. This leads to corporate influence, bias, and sensationalism. It's all about making as much money as possible and keeping their business partners happy. Then again, in today's world, everywhere you look, people are mostly chasing money, and everything else comes second. In sports media, that means networks like ESPN often push fake, scripted debates and clickbait headlines. It gets them views, and views bring in money, at least for now. Don't be surprised if things change in the future. Still, some people are starting to see through it. They realize that a lot of mainstream content is losing its authenticity because these networks are out of touch with the audience. People are realizing that most of these so-called conflicts on TV are simply staged for drama. That's exactly why alternative platforms on social media are blowing up. I'm talking about YouTubers, streamers, Instagram and TikTok influencers, basically anyone putting out content outside the traditional media bubble. You also have forums and other sites where fans constantly debate, share opinions, and break things down in real time. But let's not act like everything online is automatically better. It's never that simple. Just like mainstream media can manipulate its audience, so can alternative media. If you're just taking everything your favorite online creator says as fact, you're setting yourself up to be played. In some ways, alternative media can be even more manipulative because their audience is often hyper-targeted, meaning the people watching already agree with their favorite creators and don't question anything they say. This is where the echo chamber effect comes into play. If a content creator builds their brand around a particular stance, they have a strong incentive to keep feeding their audience what they want to hear, rather than presenting an objective view. And here's another problem. If If a content creator suddenly decides to switch up on their opinion or admit that they were wrong, they risk losing part of their audience. Unfortunately, in this world, less audience means less money. So, instead of keeping it real, a lot of them just stick to whatever take gets them the most engagement. When YouTubers, streamers, bloggers, and other online creators first started out, they were true pioneers. They brought out their own raw, authentic opinions on whatever they were covering. But is that still the case today? Not really. So, what changed? Well, it's pretty clear creating content for social media became a huge money-making business. And let's be honest, the moment money gets involved, there's always a risk of losing that authenticity and honesty we all crave so much. These days, instead of using their platform to share real, original thoughts, most content creators are basically running full-on businesses. They build business plans, target specific audiences, map out marketing strategies, and focus entirely on profit. And that has nothing to do with how YouTube and online content looked like in the early days. So, it's less and less about being real and more about chasing views at any cost. Let me break it down with some real examples. There are YouTube channels that aren't about objective analysis at all. Instead, they just gather a crowd of like-minded people and tell them exactly what they want to hear. Take Uncut Hoops, for example. Whoever runs that channel has clearly attracted a big group of LeBron James haters. Out of the 75 videos they posted between October 2024 and mid-March 2025, a whopping 34 were about LeBron and Bronny. You don't need to watch all 34 videos. Watch only one and you've seen them all. It's the same recycled takes over and over again. Now, to be clear, there's nothing wrong with criticizing LeBron. There's plenty to discuss after all. This isn't analysis. It's straight up hating for clicks. Uncut Hoops isn't trying to objectively break down LeBron's career or decisions. They just push the same anti-LeBron agenda because they know it gets views. That is not journalism, and it's definitely not the alternative to mainstream media that we are looking for. On the flip side, you have Jimmy Highroller, one of the most popular basketball channels on YouTube. His content is super well edited. He's got a massive subscriber base, and while he doesn't post often, when he does, he really digs deep into his topics. His research is on point, and overall, he and his team do an amazing job. But here's the catch. He almost never goes negative. He focuses on the good and rarely ever criticizes players. And let's be real, it's a lot easier to be liked when you never say anything bad about anyone. But if you're only talking about positive things, are you really telling the full story? Obviously not. That being said, I'd take that any day over a channel that's just pure hate. And finally, we have the ex-players turned podcasters, a trend that's been exploding lately. Guys like Gilbert Arenas, Paul George, Draymond Green, Steven Jackson, JJ Redick, and now even Shaquille O'Neal. Because if there's media attention and money to be made, you know Shaq is showing up. Some of these guys are better than others, but one thing's for sure, they've added a whole new layer to sports media. In a more relaxed setting, they give fans a first-hand look at locker room dynamics, behind-the-scenes stories, and legendary career moments, many of which go viral instantly. So, at this point, you're probably wondering, where do I fit into all of this? Well, if you've been paying attention, you've probably seen where this is going. The whole reason I started this channel is simple. I love basketball. I play the game, I work as an analyst and scout, and I've been following the NBA for as long as I can remember. And because of that, I feel the need to share my own unfiltered takes, the way I see the game without the nonsense. That's exactly why this channel is called Not for Casuals. My goal is to bring together real NBA fans, people who think for themselves and are actually open to having a real, respectful debate. We don't have to agree on everything. That's not the point. But if you're here, you should be able to discuss the game with logic and reason, not just repeat the same tired narratives. So let me be clear. This is not about chasing clicks or catering to a specific crowd. I am not here to sugarcoat things. I am not here to hype up fan favorite players just for the engagement. And I'm definitely not here to waste time with pointless clickbait topics. For those of you that are narrow-minded, incapable of critical thinking, and only want to hear takes that validate your opinions, this channel is not for you. You're in the wrong place. If you're a real basketball fan, someone who loves the game for what it is, who wants a real analysis, and who does not need to agree on everything to have a healthy debate, welcome. Let's build the biggest NBA community of independent thinkers together.